Welcome to Business Prowess with Raphael and Dr. Andrea. Our show will bring you the best insights, ideas, and inspiration from successful entrepreneurs and CEOs in the business world. Don't miss out on the opportunity to learn from the best and stay ahead of the game. Sifu Raphael is the founder of 5 unique shows. He's a fitness professional, solutions expert, executive coach, and head instructor at Max Martial Arts and Fitness in New York. Dr. Andrea Adams Miller is an award-winning international keynote speaker, best-selling author, and CEO of the Red Carpet Connection Publicity, Publishing, and Talent Agency, and CEO of IgniteYourRelationship.com. Known as the Dream Maker, she makes visionaries' dreams come true, bigger than they ever dare to desire.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Thank you for joining us on Business Prowess. Dr. Andrea, how are you this beautiful, beautiful Friday?
Well, I am really, really good. I spent yesterday in the hospital with a family member instead of being at Cedar Point with my entire family, which is an amusement park, by the way. And we were laughing because do you know that it's more exhausting to sit around and do nothing than it is to be somewhere exciting? And by the way, the person's fine and healthy. It was just some expected, unnecessary thing. I mean, not unnecessary, things that were unexpected is what I was trying to say. So everything will work out. Everything will be fine.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
And how about you, Sifu? What have you been doing?
I've been working on Speaking Prowess, which is a communication platform, we're bringing communication to everyone worldwide. And it's just an amazing endeavor. And I'm thrilled. But I am super happy for today because we have a special guest, Dr. Barnsley Brown. How are you today?
Fantastic, and really excited to be here with you and Dr. Andrea. Good to see you all.
And what have you been working on prior to being here?
Oh my goodness, so many things. Onboarding a new client who's having some amazing results in my coaching program, and taking care of some rental properties, and spending some time with my daughter who just graduated from high school a year early. And it's been busy and good.
Good. Glad to hear all of that. Yeah.
I love your badass business coach. I love that. What made you put that there? Tell us.
Well, it used to be kick-ass, Seafood, just to be honest about it. It used to be kick-ass. But when I started the Bold Badass Business Show about a year and a half ago, I just found that resonated so much more with me. And, badassery isn't about being aggressive or being, in your face or a gang member or anything like that. It's not that kind of violence. You'll appreciate that as a martial artist. It's not about violence. It's about managing yourself. It's about being a leader. It's about being a giver on the planet. It's about helping others. And those are the people who I think are badasses in business. So therefore, the badass business coach. And I do offer the GBK. This is an important business acronym for those of you listening. The GBK, I do offer this to my clients and colleagues, and that is the gentle butt kick.
Love that.
The GBK.
Well, I just had a thought. If for any reason that you decide to, shave your head and be super fun, you could be the bold badass business coach.
There you go. Oh my God, all those bees.
Yeah, a little bit of funness there. So, so what made you switch from kick to bad though? I'm not clear why kick.
Well,
why bad was better than kick.
The badass just felt so much. The word just resonated more than kick-ass. It felt deeper. It felt like a deeper word for what we're talking about. Like badassery is a state of being, Dr. Andrea. It's not, you could be kick-ass and just, you're kicking people's arses, as Shakespeare would say. But badass felt like it was resonating with a state of being that badass, whereas kick-ass didn't resonate as much. And besides, the name of you want to be consistent in your branding, and the name of the show is Bold Badass Business. So anyway.
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
We
I
all
thank you
can
for that, because part of the whole mission of what we're doing here with business prowess is, through us having just good conversation, we want people to be able to pick up through our successes and failures, and certainly that's not a failure, but it's a correction that you found that
Yeah.
you could step and level up your game by being cohesive to what the name actually was. And so hopefully our listeners are able to pick up through our conversations things that they can ascertain to their own life and their own business to excel themselves.
Absolutely.
yeah.
And brand consistency is so important. We want people to trust us. We don't want to be always changing our brand colors or what we stand for, or, how we talk about ourselves or our business. We want it to be consistent.
Cool. I like it.
One of the things that when we're talking about correction and so forth, it also speaks about growth, how we change as we grow, right? And if we're not growing every day, what are we doing? So we always should look at, what are we doing? Is it the same values that I had yesterday, or have they changed
Mhm.
because
Yes.
I made progress? So we
Mhm.
also have to consider that in business at all times.
Mhm.
We can't just look forward all the time. This is why when we drive, we do have rear view mirrors, right? Can you imagine how many people would save their own lives if there's a Mack truck coming without stopping at them, but they never saw it because they're only looking straight ahead and they don't look in the rearview mirror? I used to drive a motorcycle. Well, I can't say drive. I used to have fun on a motorcycle, and I saved my own life countless of times because people didn't see me. They didn't see me. I had my lights. I had some nice bright colors on. Still didn't see me because they were expecting a car in the way. So many times I had to move out of the way. If I didn't, I know I would have been crushed. Thank God I never had, well, I had one motorcycle accident and I walked away from it, and it was only 5 miles an hour. But if it wasn't for my hindsight of always looking for them, I wouldn't be here. So that's the same we have to do in business. We always have to look, we have to have that hindsight to be aware of everything and make the changes necessary to keep going forward.
I love that, Sifu.
Please go
ahead.
ahead, Leslie.
Yeah, I was going to say that makes me think about an important exercise that I like to give to my coaching clients. And that is, most people, when they describe their ideal avatar in business, will say something like, oh, their age is 40 to 50, they're da da da, they're this. It's like externals. And what I like to give my coaching clients is I want you to actually write from the point of view of your ideal client and what is it they're struggling with. And I want you to write it in the I format, the first person. And it's pretty amazing. And then when somebody asks you, who do you love to work with? Don't talk about the other stuff. Talk about what they're saying. Talk about what's going on in their head. And then add in those things that maybe, primarily women or people all over the globe, whatever it is, people who care about animals. But those are superficial. So go for the really deep stuff, because that is what's going to move someone to identify with you and to know that you can help them. So your story, I think also you were watching for them. You were putting yourselves in the shoes of the people driving cars around you while you're on this motorcycle. I think the same is true, that we in business need to get in the heads of our people we love to work with, and we need to come from there.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I'm writing some of the things that we say in the comments so that people can, see this later and hear about like what's going on in our heads and the relation to it. So I'm talking about how you use the motorcycle as an analogy. So hopefully it makes sense, because I'm talking, typing, and listening all at the same time. So we'll see how that goes. What I also learned when we're using a format like this, just as a little side note, I used to just write the information, and I'm writing it in my voice and my tone, but it shows up on all of our all of our Facebooks and LinkedIn as if Seafood was writing it. And so sometimes I'll write, "Oh, I just love you too." And Seafood may say that, but he may not say that. So so now I say Sifu says and Andrea says, so that way we know who's saying what on the comments. When you were given the motorcycle analogy, it two things came into my head. Is we were driving the other day, and so I'm using the same motorcycle analogy that we can apply to business. We went to go around someone to pass them, and you know how sometimes when the sun's really bright and it's a beautiful day and the road's a little hilly, you will see what looks like an oasis where you like see like a shiny spot. We saw several shiny spots ahead of us, and we had plenty over a mile of room to go around to pass. And then all of a sudden, out of one of the shinies, there was a motorcycle, and he's all chrome. So it was a shiny coming out of the shiny. And I'm like, quick, motorcycle. And we, got over right away. And we still had plenty of time. But what I thought was interesting is, although we are looking and being mindful because we have motorcycles and stuff like that. So we're always mindful of motorcycles and traffic. The motorcyclists had the confidence that we were going to see him, that he still stayed really crouching on the middle line, making the assumption that we would see him. In fact, when we got over, and then he goes like, "Really?" And I was like, wow, instead of saying really to us, you should have been mindful of where do you need to be in the space to be prepared to get off the road. Because had we corrected or went a different way, or anything could have happened, or maybe the person beside us would have. There's too many variables. So when we're in business, even if you think you see what's coming, being so in your like, I got this so much that you're not thinking about what's A and B on the parameters can really mess you up.
Yeah. There's an advertisement that I've been seeing, and I don't watch TV, but I've been binge watching Shark Tank, right? And because it's through Hulu, they do one or two commercials, and at that time, that's when I either go get water, fruit, or something. And one of the commercials that comes on, it's a New York ad, and it shows somebody about to drive through. There's a truck, but it says you don't know what's on the other side, and then the truck kind of disappears, and a person, the truck was parked, right, and the person was about to cross, and then there's bushes, and then there's a woman with a carriage, but the message that it says is slow down to see what's around you. And I think that's a great message for business also, because we may be running because our business requires us to, but we always have to keep the eyes open to see, because we may miss an opportunity, and it could be an opportunity that could cost you millions of dollars, if not thousands. If it's going to cost you $10, don't worry about it. Not big deal. But if it's going to cost you a lot of money, it's for you to have your eyes open to see every opportunity, to either say yes to or no to. Because some opportunities we have to say no. But it's making the choice, right? What's most important to us.
I really like that slowing down. I love that because, it really is important that we listen, and we listen on social media. We listen to our clients. We listen to some of the news. I'm like you. I don't watch the news, but I tend to hear what's going on just by seeing it quickly on social media. But I don't choose to fill my life with all of the bad news that's in the news, right? I choose to look at good news that I find on the internet, for instance. But it's very important that we slow down and ask. And I had a practice for the longest time, and it's just making me think I need to bring this back. I would just sit when I would come down to my office. I would just sit here, close my eyes, and meditate for a few minutes and ask, who should I call today? Who should I reach out to today? And usually it was call. I would call, which is something that a lot of the younger folks have forgotten about. Pick up the phone and call, you all. call. There's a reason we have phones. Pick that thing up. This is your best friend here. And I can't tell you the number of times, Dr. Andrea and Sifu, that resulted in business. Someone would say, oh, I was just thinking about you. Or one time I called somebody I worked with 16 years ago, and she said, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you called. I was just thinking about my spas that I own, and I wanted to have somebody to come in to talk about positivity and collaboration in the spa. And it ended up as business. So that's very important, to access all sides of our brain, not just the logical side, but we want to bring the right and the left brain in, and the heart.
Yes.
How about that?
Right. Bring the heart. I love it. When you consider, when you engage with another person and you bring your heart, sometimes we think that we can't bring the heart because they're going to step all over it. You still need to have barriers, if you will, to protect your heart, but it doesn't mean that you don't bring your heart. So I love that, because I think that's an important aspect to better business. Because hey, listen, at the end of our lives, it's not the kind of business that we ran; it's the kind of person we are at the end of it, right? So how are we showing up?
By the way, Dr. Barnsley, could you add your information to the private chat so that we can tell people how to connect with you as well?
And highlight you.
Or if I can find that, I just see show chat. Let's see if it's over here.
It's private chat on your right-hand side.
Okay. I got it.
So because the show is about being real and authentic and so forth, so I'm going to out you a minute, Dr. Barnsley, but in the most loving way, so our people get it. So I'm a publicist. We want to help publicize people. So part of the reason that we have like early come on and we send a whole letter of stuff to do. Now, those of you who are listening often are entrepreneurs, so you're showing up on shows and stuff too. The promotion helps promote and get you out when you are able to come in and do these things. So I decided, well, let's do it publicly so people understand why this is important, because we want to be able to share Dr. Barnsley's information. Now, fortunately, she's already friends with me on like Facebook and LinkedIn, and I know her personally. So I was able to link her on and do the @ and highlight her name to all of the things that I put up to share. But once in a while, we'll have guests come and they don't do that. And then I don't know who they are because I haven't met them yet, because we like often to have fresh new people on. And then we can't do any publicity for them. So that helps with the publicity of stuff like that. So those of you who are going to be doing things in the future, think always, how can you add to the publicity of whatever that you're going to be on so that you can share and promote? Now, Dr. Barnsley did something very lovely for us, is when we got on, she said, oh, let me go ahead and share this with my StreamYard, or share the StreamYard with my audience as well. And of course, hosts love that. So woohoo! We were very pleased and excited to have that happen. So those are just other ways for you guys to be able to show up and get your information out in the air. So thank you, Dr. Barnsley, for that.
And actually, Dr. Andrea, I want to say something to that. And I'm so glad you're bringing this up, because we provide, for my show, we provide graphics, and we provide, my VA, I have her do graphics, and we provide swipe copy prior to the show. And we ask people to put it all over. And I'm going to admit I didn't do all of that for this. I'm going to promote more after. And then we did, there's the promotion after. I personally send the swipe copy with some special words for each person for them to promote after. And I think that a lot of people think when they come on a show that they're just like this guest and they should just come and the show host should do everything. This is not the truth at all. And I can always tell who's promoted because I see the views on Facebook. I just look on Facebook and I see they have over 200 views in a couple of days just because they promoted. But if they didn't promote, it's tiny. It's going to be a lot smaller.
Yeah.
So and the promotion needs to be before and after.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Well, we haven't been doing a lot of after, have we, Sifu?
No, we stink at that. So, but we're going to step that up.
Well, not anymore. We're going to see. And that's why I love this kind of dialogue, because in having
Yeah.
a conversation about what we can do better, what haven't we done that we actually know.
Yeah.
So I'm a publicist, and yet some of those things don't always happen for me either. Part of it, let's think about how we set up the show. We set up the show for Fridays. So what do I do on Fridays? I run out the door after this, and I have a standing lunching meeting every Friday. And then it's Friday afternoon, and it's summer. So where am I? Well, those of you who know me know I'm in the pool with the grandchildren. And
Nice.
and then after that, we might have softball games, and then theater shows. And then it's now the weekend. And I don't even think about it, because now I got to be thinking about what's happening next week or going forward. And so part of that then is thinking about, oh, how can I, and it's so perfectly okay for me to still promote this on Monday or Tuesday or next Friday. the more,
but a
the
lot
better.
of people are bored on the weekend. I found that they watch on the weekend. A lot of people do. It's interesting, so
That's a great idea.
weekend is not a bad time at all. I think what you're saying, Dr. Andrea, is really important. To highlight another business point in that is that we need systems, especially when we're small business owners. We need systems, because the truth of the matter is, and I love Sifu that said, yeah, we suck. What did you say? We stink at that. I would say I suck at that. But it's really good to realize where the gaps are in what we're doing, and then we either hire, barter, delegate, or somehow fill that. But hiring, bartering, and delegating could be ways to fill that gap so that it's done, and we systematize it so it doesn't fall through the cracks. I had to give so much of my social media stuff for the show over to one of my VAs, because I really knew I would not put it up. I just knew. I was like, I'm not going to put that up. I just know myself.
Yeah.
I'm not.
That is such a that is something I've been working on. One of the things I added to, in case you didn't notice, Dr. Barnsley, I added at the end of your name ANKB. Sifu and I are both trainers, where we are talking about the science-based personality of bank and how we show up and how we think and do things. And I noticed that all of us are a B last, meaning the person who's systematized, who follows the rules, who has everything in order. And I've been really working on making my B higher, because the only thing I do with Blueprint is be bitchy about it. and I don't want
to think about that for the B from now on, Dr. Andrea. I will think bitchy.
Well, because you are. Because if you don't have things systematized, you're mad, you're frustrated.
It's like not a natural thing for me. It's one of the best things that being in business has done for me, because, I'm a creative, right? I'm a writer. I'm an improv comedy performer. I am a presenter. I'm a creative, like all three of us. And we creatives, guess what? We are all about that creative space and less about the system, right? So I love that, because yes, when it comes down to blueprints, I'm like, oh God, I got to create that. But yes, I get to create that. I get to learn that. I get to give it to somebody who enjoys that, which is my VA.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well,
Give it to her. She loved
it. You also wanted to talk to us about, because of those systems, because of those SOPs, why people are not earning what they should be earning and what they deserve, right?
Yes.
Because it's those simple things that sometimes it's so simple, right? Meanwhile, we're reinventing the wheel when it's right there. It's simple, simple, simple.
It doesn't have to be hard.
But sometimes we have to take the time to make it happen, right? And then afterwards, it just runs on its own. Automation.
You know what, Sifu? I think here's what I say to people. Like when I hired my first VA, I invested in a program, that was several $1,000s, just because she had Trello boards all set up, right? Advertise an event. Here's what you do. So all I had to do is go in and give that Trello board to my VA, right? And maybe add one or two things. I invested in that because it saved me so much time, energy, frustration, and bitchiness, Dr. Andrea, because it was the blueprint stuff, right? It was totally worth it. I have referred so many people to that as well. Anybody who wants to know, just reach out. I'll connect you personally to the owner of that program. Thank God for her, right? And she continues to coach me and her other clients, and she vets all the VAs. I love it. Anyway, point being that when we are in business, we need simple systems that work. And it's far better to hire somebody who already has the systems. And that's what I have, for example, in my Make It Happen coaching program. I have the systems that most business owners don't have for declaring what your income will be each month, for tracking it, daily as well as weekly, monthly, and for the entire year. And not just the income part, but the other things you're doing, like the books you're writing or the number of presentations you want to be sharing with the world. You know, I have simple systems that we use and they work. And that way there's never any doubt in anybody's mind where they are when they're in my program. There's no doubt where they are in their monthly declarations. And I have somebody, I have to tell y'all, this is exciting, the new client who's already far exceeded her declaration for this month. Her declaration was 10,000. She's already exceeded that. So we raised it to 20K. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Perfect. I was like, yeah, don't leave it there. We're going to raise it up. But I have these systems all worked out. And so it's so much easier for people to just come in and use those systems that are proven that work than to try to sit around, scratch their head and figure it out and go it alone. We all die in the wilderness by ourselves if we do that.
Yeah. It's like when the tree falls down in the forest, who heard it?
Yeah.
Nobody, right? So consider, and we're talking about SOPs, but a lot of times people, let's say you start working at a company and they go, yeah, we have SOPs and it's the book, it's this thick and it's in the corner. Go look at it, read it. Meanwhile, it's got dust. I have to blow it off. And I think that SOPs should be, to be honest, certain things, even as simple as if you're hiring somebody to clean the toilets and clean the place up, have a system for it. But if you show it to them, there should be a check off, like it's done the way we need it done, right? Maybe, listen, I've hired people and they said, yeah, I'm gonna vacuum. I'm like, okay, go vacuum. And we're looking at them. I'm like, oh my God, it's vacuum. You can't get simpler than vacuuming. And they did this. They didn't the extra spots. They didn't hit the corners. They didn't move things. And they're like, we're done. I'm like, that took you 5 minutes? Yeah, I'm done. I'm like, really? To do that room takes me 45 to an hour.
Right.
This is why you're here.
I said, and we have a rainbow. So then now you have to know how to operate the rainbow and how to take it apart and clean it. And those of you who don't know what that means, it means you have a pan with water in it because the dust collects into the water. So then we have animals as well. So then you have a mud fur baby in. If you're in a high traffic area and you, regardless of the kind of vacuum you have, think about that in your business. It's a quick once over is literally a quick once over. A carpet, the dirt is not only in the, I used to own a cleaning business, by the way. So the dirt is not only in the fibers, it's not laying only at the top. It's also a breakdown of the matting and of the padding and whatever was on the floor below it. All of those things, plus people's, skin and dander and animal and whatever else is all in there. You need to suck it out. So when you're,
you know what? And those oh, sorry, Andrea. Those SOPs, and for those of you listening who may be new in business or just thinking about starting a business, standard operating procedures. I just want to break that down, SOPs. So you can have a systems manual. That's what I like to have. And you can have standard operating procedures, which are all those things that need to get done routinely in your business. But I love this cleaning metaphor because I have actually fired 3 cleaning services this year. Andrea, you can love that. But I fired them because they didn't do the things. They didn't move the things. Seafood, they didn't go into the corners. And I was like, why? I can go in with a vacuum and dance and sort of vacuum. Why wouldn't I have an expert at this who's really going to do the expert job? So that's where our systems manuals are a way for us to delegate very responsibly, but it's also a way for us to decide if we're going to let somebody go because they're not doing what they are supposed to be doing to the standard we've established in our business. It's
You know,
hard. Boy.
it's very hard. One of the things that we also have to acknowledge when we're running a business and unlocking those financial success, if you will, is who's doing what and are they in the right position. When I was married, I said, my house is clean. Either my wife is cleaning or I'm cleaning, but our house is super clean.
Mhm.
And then I said, I'm going to give her a break. I said, I'm going to hire a maid to come, not a maid, a cleaning lady who's going to come 3-4 times a week, just so she gets a break. My ex-wife cleaned the house before the cleaning lady came. So, and this happened for like a little bit over a month and a half. And I said, why are you doing that? She goes, because I want it done a certain way. I said, so it doesn't make sense for me to hire somebody. She goes, well, yeah, no, she's good. I'm like, I understand she's good, but if we're not allowing her to do her job, then why do we have her? Why don't we give you a break somewhere else? Why don't we do something different? So sometimes you have to understand, and in business, that happens all the time, because when I have a client say to me, my daughter goes into your bathrooms and she's amazed. She thinks she can actually eat dinner in your bathrooms. I'm like, oh, that's gross, but thank you, because we're that clean, right? So we have to take care of every detail, because one of the first things is impressions, right? If somebody walks into your business and the first impression is a negative one, or the way your dress is negative, or the words you say are negative, they're not going to be your client for long. So every little ounce, every little piece of energy that you put into your business has to be heartfelt. If you walk to that business, how would you feel? And that's why I always have fresh eyes when I walk into any of my businesses. I'm like, if I'm looking at this as a client, do I want to use this business? Do I want to do business with them? Do I want to have them responsible for all these different things that I want them to be? So when we look at any business, we should see it with fresh eyes, including our own, especially our own.
I have a thought on this. So I've been recently talking about that because I want to put some other people in place and do some things for multiple areas of my business. And what I realized is, yes, I should have a concept of what my SOPs or my standard operating procedures are for my business, my life, my home, everything. And at the same time, I want to hire and attract people. So part of my hiring, attracting process is to find people who, without telling them what we already do, I want them to show me how they would do the job and give them a chance to give them like a sample or whatever, so that I can see how they think and how they feel and how they function and how they can adapt and change on their own, because I want people to not only do the job, but I want them to be able to, if something happens, know how to go around and fix it. So let's use this cleaning analogy again. We decided to hire a new housekeeper. We didn't have one for a couple of years and decided to do that again. And because we're thinking our time is better used elsewhere, because there's other things that we can do in our life for our home. And so when we hired people, we had some people come and yet they wouldn't do the windows. So we're like, well, what's the whole point of cleaning if you're not going to clean the window? So we're like, okay, now go. And then and then I had somebody else come in, and I noticed that we have a big clock on the wall over here. And let's say my face is the clock. It was wiped to here, not above that. So the next time they came, I said, what's going on here? And she's like, well, I couldn't reach. And I look around the room and I'm like, well, I see 2 chairs and a stool and a desk. Is there and we do have a step stool on the back porch. And she's like, well, I didn't think of that. And I'm like, okay, I want people who think of that. So and she was very annoyed with me when I made her go get the step stool and finish the clock. So I was like, okay, first of all, I don't like attitude just because like obviously could see dirt. But then, so now I have this idea or concept that I want to hire people who come in and write the SOPs. But if I already have an SOP, they then look at our SOPs because there might be some things I'm picky about. Like I want my towels folded a certain way. You got to fold them in half, a third, and then a third. So those are important. So if they weren't doing that by looking at my SOPs, they could say, oh, this is some things that Andrea is picky about, or this is what works more effectively for them in the business. But at the same time, I may find out that the way they fold the towels fits in the cupboard better, and maybe I'll adopt that. So I'm open to hearing what their ideas are, because sometimes they're faster or better than what I think is the best. So I want to be open and flexible, but at the end of the day, it's still mine. So don't have an attitude.
And I love that you're looking for problem solvers. You're looking for people who can think on their feet. You know, you're looking for people who will find a solution. I mean, oh God, that would drive me crazy. Half the clock, I'd look at that every time and I'd be like, I paid for that and they didn't, you know, that's the worst thing because you're looking at the clock a lot. But just doing, you know, a half-assed job. We've said ass a lot today between kick-ass and half-assed and badass. You know, this would be the ass session today. And arse, I said it in spirit and arse, right? This is our ass, and don't be an ass in business. You know, don't do a half-assed job. Like, give more. If somebody tells you to clean the fans, but also clean the chandeliers and get the freaking cobwebs off them. I have a lot of chandeliers, and that's something I look for. You know, have they clean the cobwebs off? And so often they've done things like the fan, but they've not done the chandeliers. Be thorough in what you offer people.
Well, good, because if you're not thorough and if you have an attitude, you might be a dumbass who's a smart ass, and you're being a hard ass. So you lazy ass better get your cheap ass to do the bad ass that Dr. Barnsley just talked about.
I can't count that high. How many asses was that?
Well, you know,
but I was busting ass to get them all in.
You were busting ass. You were dealing with all the ass wipes. You know, there are people out there who are ass wipes, and you want to make sure you take care of them and you get their asses out of your house.
If they're a pain in the ass, you have to cover your ass.
And don't sit on your ass waiting for people to come and knock on your door to ask for business. Get your ass out the door and do it. Do something.
Right. Yes, if you're a jackass, you got to whoop ass. Get your ass in gear.
You got to whoop ass. You got to whoop ass in business, girlfriend. You got to whoop ass in business.
I tell you,
lost control,
ladies, this is astronomical, by the way.
Look, I raise a glass to that. A glass.
So let's consider integrity, right? When you do business. For example, when I was a project manager and I was running this huge interior design kind of business, and we had painters that came in, and we were working for Citigroup, and we did 10 floors in their headquarters when they did it. I'm talking 1980s, right? And here in Long Island City, New York. And one of the things that the contractor said is the deal was 3 coats of paint. So they had to do a primer and 3 coats of paint. So what they did is they said, okay, we're done. What they didn't know is that the night before I took a pencil and I went by the bottom and marked the whole floor that they did. And when I walked around with the supervisor and he goes, yeah, look, we're done. I said, it's beautiful. I said, what is that? He goes, what do you mean? I said, that looks like a line of pencil. He goes, who put that there? I said, I did. I said, after you did your first coat, you owe me 2 more coats. Okay. Then he goes, we're done. I said, really? What's that up there? a line. I said, I know. That's your second coat.
Mm.
So we are in agreement that we hired you to do 3 coats. I said, so here's the situation. You're going to finish that last coat and you'll get paid, but we will not be using your service anymore. And they lost a huge contract that we did Siemens building. We did a lot of different huge corporations. And we designed their offices, their headquarters, their lunchrooms, everything. And they lost huge contracts because they had no integrity. And I had to keep up in order. So I have my SOPs. What is my SOP when somebody's going to come in and paint and tell me that they're going to do 3 coats? It's pretty simple. I put a pencil at the end of a yardstick and I tape it and I just go and mark it after the first coat. So if somebody didn't know that, if I was not in place, they would have gotten away with only giving us 1 coat and that would have been it. And it did look nice, but it's not what we agreed upon. And they would have gotten away with literally millions of dollars of not doing it because 3 floors, huge space, tons of room, it would have been a lot of money they would have saved and we would have lost, but not because I was there. So consider when you do business integrity, when you tell somebody you're going to do something, do it. And that's how you also unlock financial success because trust is something that is extremely hard to attain and for it to remain. Those are the 2 things. When somebody trusts you and they know that you're going to do your thing, my God, that speaks volumes. They'll stay with you for a long time.
Repeat that.
I
That
really
was repeatable. Trust is
something that is
Something
hard
that-
to attain and to remain. I really
And
like that. Retain, sorry.
That's okay. Retain, remain.
And I would add sustain.
Yes.
Right? We've got to sustain it. And this is where people do transactional business. You want to talk about why you're not having the impact in sales you want. One thing is you're treating your business transactionally. Like somebody comes to you and the only time that's important is when they give you money. You should be nurturing them. Here we come back to what we talked about in the show. You're going to nurture the show before, nurture the promo before, and nurture it after. You're going to nurture the client before they're a client. Just consider them a client right now when they are your quote unquote prospect. Treat them like you would a client. Roll out the red carpet. Be kind. Give support. Value them. Stay in touch. Invite them to things. And then afterwards, also nurture them. So that if you just take that transactional wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. I took your money and I'm done. You are not going to have a customer and loyal fan for life. So we've got to, there's that trust piece. Let's have that trust established because we're getting before we even take any money, right? Before they ever give us anything. And then we continue to give even after they have given us a transaction. We continue to provide. We continue to provide value. So then they have a couple of choices. They refer us to other people because they love us. And they also come back into our organization and purchase more.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I collectively came up with a quote from all 3 of us. So it started with you. Trust is hard to remain. And she added, Dr. Barnsley, sustain. And I added, without a strong moral vein. So now we have a
nice. We're poetic here.
We are.
We're so
I think
poetic.
she's actually bringing it all together. When we consider business, we should consider family. A lot of people run their business differently than they handle their family, and sometimes that's understandable. But if you're screaming at your employees, if you're cursing them out, would you do that to your children? Would you do that to your spouse? And what kind of respect are you getting? I've seen a lot of people in business, because I'm a people watcher and I'm a business watcher, I go into any business and I look from the busboy to the waiter to the janitor to the person that's doing anything. How are they being treated? And then how are they treating everyone in return? So for me, that's important. And when we people watch, we can say, that's very interesting. For example, I had a friend of mine who was going fast and he got pulled over by a police officer. And the police officer just, give me your license and registration. He says, do you know how fast you blah, 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 curse, 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 curse. And my friend did something that most people would never even have thought. He was fast on his feet. And all he did was turn to the police officer and say, you kiss your mom with that mouth? The police officer was like, whoop, pulled back. He gave him his license. He goes, be careful. And he walked away. He made him think, why are you talking to me this way? Are you talking like that to everyone? So the words we use should be used with, and you said it perfectly, Dr. Barnsley, heart-centered. We should treat everybody as if they matter. This is why I love being part of Bank. Bank is all about making people matter. Do your employees matter? Do your clients matter? Who matters more? Your clients or your employees? Without your employees, you may not have that client. You may not be able to sustain the business that your clients need. So who's more important? So think about your actions and what you say and how you say it. And do you kiss your mom with that mouth?
I love that saying. What part of the country is that saying from? I've never heard it. Do you kiss
really?
do you kiss your mom with that mouth? That sounds like a New York saying, Sifu.
It is.
Yeah,
I'm in
I
New
love
York.
that. Do you
He
kiss
was
your
on the
mom?
southern state.
Here's my bad New York accent. Do you kiss your mom with that mouth?
How you doing? How you doing? You kiss your mama with the
Kiss
mouth?
your mom with that mouth?
So I did a little research. It says the origin is unclear. It probably was used as humor and sarcasm to reprimand or criticize a rude behavior. Yeah. So, but yeah, but I've known it my whole life. So I wonder if it's an East Coast thing.
I'm on the East Coast, though. I've never heard that, but that's my new favorite idiom.
It's my gift to you.
Because rudeness is prevalent these days. People are just rude.
And with that, we're out of time.
We are. But
Gotta be rude and tell you we're out of time.
Dr. Barnsley, what is one thing that you can give someone before we take off here? A quick word of advice, if you will, that will help them unlock their financial success.
All right. And it's something we didn't talk about, and that is daily. You need to know what your RGAs, your revenue generating activities are. Some people call them IPAs. I call them RGAs. IPAs is income producing activities. You need to know exactly what they are. You need to choose primarily the ones that are more short term. So you're bringing in income every day, and you need to have accountability so that you do your 3 or more RGAs a day. It's like an RDA, revenue daily allowance of RGAs, 3 or more every day. And my clients have actually already texted me theirs in my mastermind. And I've texted mine out. So we have that accountability every single day, Monday through Friday. You miss a day, you do it on Saturday.
Love that.
Saturday.
That's it. Dr. Andrea, it's always an amazing time when you join in and when you allow me also to join in, because I think that this is a collective of
was that like, do you kiss your mouth, your mother with that mouth? Because you go, and when you allow me to join in, because I just
because I think that together we've become a truly dynamic duo. So I want to thank you.
Thank you as well.
And
Oh,
thank
that was
both
fun.
of you for having me on. It's been a lot of fun. I don't think I've been on a show where we said ass so many times. I just,
Cause she's bad, she's bad. You know she's really bad. And if you want a badass, call Dr. Barnsley Brown's coach.
Ooh, yeah. All right, we're wrapping here. My students, when I taught in academia, they used to call me Dr. B, and it made me feel like a rapper. I just have to say,
Well, we'll get you a
she's
big
Dr.
gold
B,
necklace with the
bringing
B
you
on it.
prosperity. Dr. B, prosperity. All right.
Love it.
Anyway,
Your turn, Sifu.
Say that again. My turn to rap.
Your turn to
Yeah.
rap.
yeah, you got to rap, Sifu. Come on.
I'm just going to say it in Spanish. Ese lunar que tienes junto de tu boca, no se lo des a nadie porque a mí me toca. Ay, 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 canta y no llores. There we go. That's it. I'm done.
Cool. The only words I knew was for gloves, for what, or for why. That was the only words I knew out of that entire phrase. Oh, love it. All right. Keep
You
smiling,
guys,
everyone. Till next week.
see you next time. Take care.